First products introduced in 2004, so this is our 20th anniversary. My son is the current CEO, and I'm doing all the R&D and get permission to do a trip here to Asia. Love coming to Asia, so I'm happy about that. It's a very open question. It's very difficult to narrow it down. I would say there's lots of different points in our history which I can point out, but from a brand point of view, I think one of the most recognizable things is our logo, of course, which is a new logo that we decided to use from 2020. Of course, the faceplate is very significant and very obvious when you see a product from far away that it's a Vitus product. In terms of, overall, it's really difficult for me to narrow it down.
I believe it will be the first time you introduce your product in the CES.
Oh yeah, CEO, of course, yeah, CES, sorry. Yes, CES 2004. Was when we introduced our first product to the world market, and of course that was the start of the whole brand.
Because it took nearly like 8 to 9 years to come down to the first product.
Yes, as just mentioned, I mean, I founded the company in '95, but in 2003 we did a couple of test shows just to get some feedback. But CES 2004 was really when we can say that the brand Vitus Audio started. So that was, of course, the first real step in our history. Well, I think in terms of our mentality and how we view the brands, we obviously started in high-end audio. With the different series, I mean, we have the reference series. That's our entry line, and normally most brands, they have reference series as their top of the line. So we kind of had this idea that we start in real high end and then we move up from there. Yeah. So today the best way I can describe it is that we look at our brand as the ultimate luxury audio brand. It's the way that we design things is just with the approach of absolute quality in all the details. It's the typical approach for luxury goods, really. When we design things, we don't consider price, we don't consider cost of anything. We only consider building the absolute best product we can. And that is the typical luxury brand type of approach. So, well, that's the best way I can describe it. Well, obviously, for the past 20 years, we've had, well, actually 29 years since the start in 1995, I've had some very specific approaches to design. And the first thing is question whether the available components are good enough for where we want to go, or whether we could optimize components. So like the transformer, where we use a special custom design that took 4 years to get to the level we wanted it to be. The not using global feedback at all was another philosophy that I've had, and then of course combined with very, very big bandwidth. Even though the audible frequency areas is from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, some of our technology goes to megahertz, and there are technical reasons for that. So that's kind of our history, how we've always done things, just to mention the three main ones. But I'm always open as a designer. So now with this new present situations where I can go back to only focus on R&D, I'm going to keep my arms right open for new technologies, new way of doing things, I'm going to try different technologies, from transformers to maybe even using feedback again, because technology moves and components get better and better. So of course I have to keep an open mind, is the word I was looking for before. The main thing is that we don't choose, and specifically I don't choose any specific technologies because of the technology. I will choose a technology because I believe it brings something to the table in terms of what audio in general is all about, which is music reproduction. So I will not stay with not using global feedback. I will not stay with using the technologies we've used in the past if I find a new technology or different way of doing things which, with the current component quality level, can enhance our products and their sound reproduction. So that's probably the most important thing right now for me personally, but also for our brands, is that focus on the ball, as they say in football, or many things. Keep a focus on the result, not the details within the technologies themselves. Yep, I can obviously talk for a long time in these things, but I'm trying to find a way to narrow it down a little bit, so we don't sit here all day.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, again, this is our many things, but some of the pointers I would say is that we focus. Well, first of all, when you look at, and I think you will come to that as well, you look at our power rating for the power amplifiers. They can seem low compared to a lot of our colleagues. And there's a few things to be aware of when it comes to that. The first is that our power ratings are 8 ohm RMS, and the norm is 4 ohm peak, and there's quite a big factor of difference when it comes to that. So our power rating can seem low, but they aren't really. It's just the way we chose to do it. So that's one thing. The second thing is that we are not only focused on the product itself, we are focused a lot and more on the experience around the product. So, the service, the type of warranty we give, and many, how to explain that, approaches that we take to really keep a high value of not only the brand but the actual products. Again, this is the whole luxury approach, so it's more like an investment than it is a purchase. I have a good story there, but I'm not sure I should mention the name, because I might get into to some issues. Nothing to do with audio, more in the watch kind of field. But and it's, I would put it this way, it's from one. I'm a musician. I'm not a professional musician. I play drums, and I've done that my entire life. I play around with guitars as well, but I'm not very good. My son plays the guitar and the bass, and several of our employees are at some level musicians, not all of them, but some. And so we understand the musical background, and we understand how music an instrument sounds in many cases. And of course that's kind of our DNA. It's about music, not so much about the equipment. So that's another area. And really in short, we don't like listening fatigue. So when you sit down and you listen to music, we want the listener to be able to listen for as long as he or she pleases, and not get to that point where it gets a little bit, tiresome for whatever reasons, and start to turn the volume down or stop listening to music. So that's another key point for us. And I can go on with many others, but...
Okay.
Well, actually, I'll try to do it as short as possible. We actually started really designing signature line products. This is where everything started for us. We started with the SM100 mono amps actually, so now we're in the fourth. We have the SM103 Mark II now, so that's the fourth generation. And I thought I designed the best I could. There was going to be absolutely nothing above that because it was really the best that I possibly could design. And then, of course, we wanted to get into the broader audience, and we were trying to figure out how we could take it to the level below, but without compromising too much on the actual sound. So the main difference from at least a power amplifier point of view is that the reference series is not Class A.
Yes.
That's the first big difference. It's typical of like high biased AB, so it does have higher power rating as well because it's Class AB. Signature is Class A amplifiers, so already when you build real Class A amplifiers, you need big heat sinks. You need big, heavy transformers, and then you need the whole chassis needs to be really solid so it can take all the weight, and that adds a lot of costs. And so that's the first big difference between those two lines. And then between the Signature and the Masterpiece line, that was actually a request from the market. And when I first got the request, can you build something above that? I was like,
why not?
Yeah, of course, why not? But I wasn't sure inside my head, how am I going to make the Signature line better? And so the key approach, of course, there's a lot of nuance differences, but the most visible one is that we start to separate the chassis. We take the power supply away, because the transformer is noisy, you have the rectifier, that's noisy, and then you have the main capacitance to smoothen out the voltage a little bit, and then you start doing regulation. And so having the power supply separate with the first multiple levels of regulation is really lowering the noise a lot, which means then you have a blacker background, so you hear more details and all of these things. So that was really let's say the big initial approach and difference. And then of course we do lots of tweaking to refine everything. So that's really the most simplified explanation that I can give. And also, like with the Masterpiece mono amps that you have upstairs, we start to do regulation on the power supply on the output stages as well. So it's a lot about power supply and refinement. Well, yes, it is a challenge, but I think I'm just really starting to look into how I can take things to the next level. And as mentioned earlier, I mean, our products don't change every year. So we basically have this. We launch a product, and then 8 years after, there's going to be a replacement, or not a replacement, but an upgrade for that. And every 4th year, we might have a Mark II version. So we don't upgrade or bring new products out and new technology out very often. And so one area, as I kind of touched on, was that things happen on technology. Of course, especially in digital, there's a lot of things happening really fast, so that's easier. This is actually a very good point that I didn't mention before. We design everything as much as we can in modules. And the reason we do this is exactly for upgradability.
Yeah.
Of course, sometimes when there's a larger technology shift, it becomes a little more tricky to do a full upgrade. Yeah. But we are looking into different possibilities of doing trade-in programs and stuff like that through our partners. That's something that Alexander is looking into. But this is it's a very good point. So yes, when we have like the SM103, that's currently in the Mark II version, and it is possible to upgrade from the initial version, the Mark I, to the Mark II. So we do this as much as we can, and this is also what I meant with it's more an investment, because we offer this upgrade path. So thank you for reminding me about that. But in terms of how can we get to the next level? Well, yeah, technology moves. So there's new components out. You can argue, well, not much happens on the resistor or capacitor.
Yeah, for example, like we have a conversation upstairs about the laser, the optical, the cartridge.
Yes, yeah. That's a very, very good point. So that's something that I'll be looking into, is actually to see what changes might be needed or is required for our phono stages to support this, so that you. And I will do it the typical way. I will have it as an option where you can choose an input which is specific for that, and you can have normal cartridges on the other, because I believe most of our phono stages today has 4 inputs. So one of them can be dedicated, for instance, to an optical. So that's one thing. We're considering new features, and we don't do a lot in features. Features can be very confusing for the end customer. Too many things to choose from takes away, from my point of view at least, the focus for listening to music, right? But we have some features under consideration which we believe could actually be beneficial. A little bit like when we have what we call the rock mode and classic mode that I forgot to mention before, which is really a reconfiguration of the output stage, which changes the sound slightly. So you have class A and class AB, and you have a classic mode and rock modes. So that actually gives you 4 different types of, let's say, sounds, which the idea behind that was, well, depending on the size of the room, how easy the speaker is to drive, and how live or damped is the room. So you have these settings to accommodate for different rooms and speaker combinations. So along those lines, we do have some new potential ideas. And yes, I do have a lot of other things that I think can be a huge benefit or huge upgrade, but it's a little bit too early to talk about them. When we released that technology, I can speak more openly about it. I would like to keep a competitive edge.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, let me first say that we're pretty happy with the partner we have here. It's a super nice environment, and our products are displayed, as you can see, in a very professional way. So we are extremely happy with that, and of course that's the first step in growing a market. And of course we would love to be one of the premium brands here, as in the rest of the world. This is kind of a reintroduction of our brand to the Vietnamese market, and we just hope that we can inspire people to listen to as much music as possible and enjoy life. Really, that's what we're here for.
Thank you for today for having an interview with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.